Gen.G, the Koreans are going to roll over them.
We're going to Infernal Shrines for game number 2. Skimmy, what are your thoughts?
I like Infernal Shrines. It's a map that both teams should be very comfortable on, and pretty much what Caldo was saying about the idea of going for early game pressure. That's what I've identified as a key component to try and take down this team, is to try and get there early, then try and just really accelerate things from there. Because, you know, a team like Dignitas, known for their macro pressure, known for their ability to try and get ahead of you from that XP, well, they were 4 levels down, so that's not the strategy here.
All right, game number 2 then. Gen.G leads 1-0 at the moment in this best of 5 after a dominating first 10 minutes. Can they continue on that momentum?
Not going to be, easy for Dignitas to try to take it back from them, shall we say. Adaptation here from Gen.G, banning the Malfurion early here. They prioritized it very highly, and it's again one of those heroes that allows you to draft reactionally rather than trying to force the draft down one path. So it's tough to pick a first pick here for Dignitas and say the draft is now going in this direction because I've chosen this hero. The safest one of those, first pick rotations usually is the Malfurion size. Then if it's something else, if you leave it open, like you go for a Maiev, you get the Malfurion Garrosh, right? But in this case, it's tough for Dignitas to say, I'm going to react to your draft. They have to take a big pick here. The Maiev is open, but you kind of reveal a lot about what your draft is going to look like in the early game, and you give a lot of options to counter here. So I really like this flex into banning the Malfurion away, because now you force the first pick to be one that's choosing a direction for the draft, and you've got the ability to respond. So this change up here with the Malfurion, I really, really like it.
I think the issue, though, is this is a very powerful direction.
I mean, I really like, with Maiev, you already are more or less forced to go into an aggressive draft. You want to get some control of that. You ideally get a tether into any kind of follow-up stun. That's one of the reasons why we've seen this ETC combo come out so often. And that's what they, I feel, have to do. If Gen.G hits their stride and really plays their game, they are going to dominate you. You can wait all like 6 days to Sunday until they make a mistake, but normally that will not happen unless they get overconfident. So Dignitas going for an aggressive draft, that's really what I want to see. Stack CC, get some burst damage, and try to really work around getting these kills in fights.
I think the question now is, where did Dignitas go with these next 2 picks? I quite like the fact that Gen.G haven't opened up here with a Tassadar and a Tracer, because going into what we've seen him do before, knowing how strong JPL is on this map with a hero such as Diablo, in that potential is to try and force on in and really control that Tracer positioning. So they've tried to turn this one on its head, make it quite difficult now for Dignitas to decide, you know, what are Gen.G looking to achieve. They have fantastic objective shrine control. Dignitas are going to turn things around. Garrosh, not his best map, but does always have that playmaking potential to aid what the Maiev is trying to do. We've seen Tempo Storm run a composition very similar to this already, where they complement that with the Jaina for the slows, for the easy access for those 2 bruises to come on in, and that burst damage. You cannot forget that burst damage.
Exactly, that's what we talked about earlier. You have Maiev, you want to get the burst damage, you want to confirm these kills. And with Garrosh, you also have the taunt available. So no matter what Gen.G picks now, you at least have something that can try and lock, let's say, a very mobile character, like for example Tracer or any other, down once they commit a little bit too far. So getting that CC in and the burst damage, definitely that's something I wanted to see. That's one way to execute it. Question is still on the support side, what they are going to try and go into. We've seen them play with Stukov. That's not usually Dignitas' go-to, especially when you look at the entirety of 2018. They only played Stukov 5 times in Europe in the regular league play, but it would work well with what they have here.
This is, you're 100% on the money. This is Gen.G trying to decide how they want to control the supports, because they can get a ban here, they could take one away themselves. If you look back at Gen.G's drafts throughout this tournament, it's the entire group stage, it's mostly been DPS late into the draft. So you have the ability to flex into what DPS makes sense given your opponents. So against a draft like this, you might want to draft heroes that are mobile, or you could avoid the Maiev ranged heroes, of course, not something like a Tracer, more like some really ranged poke like Sergeant Hammer, Greymane even potentially. Or you could go for a global DPS, like the Falstad we've already seen. So you already have a strong solo laner in Sonya. You can push that hard. Falstad can come up and do a lot of work for you there. You can also have the disengage potential with the Falstad as well. So they are trying to now control the Alexstrasza away from Dignitas, and now they could choose a DPS here with their support. That means that Dignitas has less support options available.
I think it's important to note, though, now with 2 second bans in a row on this hammer, they understand that anything from the group stage of that hammer was not a gimmick. They are legit scared of that outcome.
Especially with that really high Johanna priority that we have for Gen.G. Now, we've seen Johanna rise throughout the tournament, but especially now that we're here in the playoffs. But every single time that Johanna gets picked, the immediate reaction on Dignitas' side on the second ban is to make sure that Hammer is not available. So once that Johanna gets picked, And that setup, that protection that you have, is just for them apparently a sign, okay, we can't deal with that, especially not as a combo. But that allows Gen.G now to go straight for that Tracer Tacita, which brings us back to the original point. You have now Garrosh. So Tracer is a menace, don't get me wrong, but you have already one tool that you can use against her if she oversteps, and we've seen a lot of confidence on Gen.G, so that can happen, and you still have a bit more flexibility in the draft to add something else to that.
I think what's interesting for me to note, especially from game number 1, is just how I would like to say Zelia just didn't feel too comfortable in that Stukov, and they've actually let it go through the draft. I was assuming Gen.G's ban was going to be on that Stukov as opposed to Alex Garza, but they've let it through. And I have to beg the question now, do Gen.G, because if you look at both of these compositions, both can be supplemented quite well by a lurking arm as compared to, especially with Malfurion taken off the board, Silence is so powerful, the burst potential on either side to try and lock a member in place. For me, if you're looking at this, you're looking at two very similar compositions, looking to try and go for point control. There's the Stukov that I mentioned. There's the Blaze as well. You're piling onto that point, and it's a battle of who can actually come out ahead.
Do you think they just wanted to force the Stukov so they can go something like a Karazim or even...
Karazim is actually something that I was thinking about, but I don't think that the composition that is being used by Gen.G really caters to it. But we have seen in the past Garrosh comps paired with a 7-sided strike. So you just flip over, you stun, and then the 7-sided is amazing for a blow-up. But doing that against a Johanna is not going to work for you. With Tacita having his armor on level 4, no matter who you flip, that's going to be in there once level 7 is reached for the extra range. Tracer has her E as well and can just simply sip out. So what I really like is that Stukov. I actually am surprised as well, as you said, Skimmy, that Stukov wasn't banned out, because that's the typical European approach to that setup.
It's a Korean approach as well. It's so common as well to ban it out here, because you eliminate all the possible follow-ups for the cage as well. And I think that they basically feel like they can play against this. I thought we might see a Rhaegar coming through here as the final pick because it works so well with Sonya. Well, they're going to go with the Uther, so they want that extra super safe protection.
But overall, we have seen the Stukov and Maiev join together to create a very dangerous and potent combo with the AoE damage that is off the back of that. How do you feel Dignitas' draft is right now?
To be honest, if you just simply remove the team names, I would say that I really love what Dignitas has here. You go up against a Tracer composition, but if you wouldn't tell me who's on that Tracer, I would probably say everything that Dignitas has, they have a lot of amazing tools. I love Stukov combos when they're executed well. They have a second layer of defense with Blaze, which is what you always need when you have Stukov. So just from the draft and from the European point of view, I really like what Dignitas have. My problem is who's on the other side.
Time for predictions.
Well, it's who's on the other side, man. Gen.G is so fantastic at dealing with Maiev with Tracer, especially Rich in particular. They were one of the first teams in Korea to not ban Maiev when Maiev was on release, intentionally allowing Maiev through the draft and counterpicking these exact type of draft with the Tracer. Rich is so great at dealing with Maiev. So because it is, as you say, who's on the other side, I have to vote for Gen.G here.
Dignitas coming into game number 2 with a much stronger draft for me personally, but that is going to be the big one for me is Gen.G. They had a 4-level lead that early on. They were playing around for the first 10 minutes and just really showing how world-class they are. I don't expect that to change, so Gen.G as well.
Yeah, I say Gen.G too. I expect Tacita going for armor here. Taking down Sonya or Tracer is going to be so difficult. At the same time, though, I will say that if Dignitas wins a game this series and breaks the series of Gen.G, I feel it's going to be this one, but I still don't think it's enough.
You ready? I've gone against my own rule. I said I wasn't going to bet against them until they actually lost a map, but I feel like this draft is fantastic. I feel like Dignitas. I'm going with Dignitas. And if it happens, let it be known that I went down with this. Oh, that's scary. Oh,
it's a great draft.
It's a great draft. 50-50? What's going on? If 2 people voted? Well, that is very even, guys, over in Twitch chat with the hashtags. As we continue things here for the Mid-Season Brawl. Oh, I feel my heart going just a little bit now. This is going to be a scary one, because at the moment, Gen.G looks absolutely fantastic. And let's check in with the commentators as well here and see what they think about this one. Guys, what do you think? What are you shaking your head? What are you doing?
How do you go against Gen.G? You literally went against your only rule.
I did go against my rule, but I'm going to look amazing if it works.
You have to keep in mind, it's Dignitas.
Yeah, that little bit as well.
I guess that's a pretty good point, you know. I can't help but feel like, you know, the Johanna and the Uther might be too much to be able to handle, though. Well, I'll get to it when we get into the game.
All right, guys. Well, have fun with it.
Seems like we got a little bit of control over objective and then a little bit of the Rich show here with that Tracer pickup dread.
Yeah, the Tracer pickup, and then as they said, we talked about all the combos, the analysis that's about on the side of Team Dignitas, but Johanna and Uther are amazing at stopping a lot of that wombo combo here. As we're getting ready here for game number 2 in the blue, Gen.G up 1 game, where we're going to have Kyocha there on the Sonya. Johanna played by Tis. Tracer is going to be played by the one, the only, the Rich. Reset is going to be on Tassadar, and Sake playing Uther. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Gen.G.
On the right side, in red is going to be that of Team Dignitas, trying to even up this best of 5, as it will be Snitch on the Maiev, Poik on Jaina, JPL on Garage, Zelia on Stukov, and Wubby on Blaze. Give it up for Dignitas.
I'm surprised to be able to hear the support here, the European crowd. But, all right. I think it's time to, you know, highlight some of the, or not so much highlight, but talk about the fact that the Uther, even though the combos and everything alike from the Western meta's perspective, Dignitas has an insane amount of priority picks. The one thing between the Task Tracer, but more importantly, the Warden's Cage opportunity, get deterring by that Iron Skin interrupt capabilities. And then also, when we look at Dignitas' damage opportunities, it's very wombo-centric. One of the best tools to deal with that is going to be a Divine Shield. The hold-up team, Dignitas find themselves up on top, get themselves a split Kyocha, and they get first blood.
Don't you just love it when you're like, it's a little bit wombo-centric. The only problem is for Gen.G, is that some of it comes at the cost of basic abilities, and Dignitas is like, yeah, I got this. So that's a very good start. That is a very good sight if you're a Dignitas fan, getting out that start, because, you know, we saw Rich being very aggressive in that early part, harassing, coming in, but then you had Snitch instantly throwing out, trying to see if he could get that tether in. And you could see Snitch is chomping at the bit. He's ready to go. He wants to make that play. He knows who that name is on the other side, and you can best believe he's trying to prove a point.
Gonna get caught out here for a moment. Rich looking to join in, drops the pulse bomb, reset, turning around, but JPL with all that armor is looking just fine. Maybe not the same case there for Wubby. No crowd control to get the lockdown. Dignitas walk away just clean with a, you know, Kaza cramp to call their own.
Right now, you know, this is going to be an interesting approach to this first objective. I really feel Dignitas with the Maiev, with the Garrosh, with the Jaina has so much early game kill potential, Dread, but they're more often than not, Dignitas is one that ignores the first objective and sees if they can find an advantage somewhere else on the battleground, split push, something or another. So I'm curious, they're going to be their early approach as Rich finds Poik in a bush there and eats about half of his health.
Yeah, quick response though. Not going to put him in position to be able to get tethered there by Snitch as you were looking for that attempted follow-up. I agree with you though. I think the first Shrine phase is going to be pretty interesting in how it plays out, because Gen.G, I mean, very much does not have split pushing capabilities whatsoever when looking at their composition, whereas Dignitas has a little bit better in that and purely on the Blaze kind of off lane, but when it comes to that raw ignoring and siege opportunity, Dignitas doesn't have, you know, the standard gray main or things of the like to be able to get a lot of that siege damage out. But we're going to have to find out how that will, in fact, unfold, as we're only 24 seconds out from that middle shrine.
Yeah, with the middle, your opportunities to push either top or bottom is a little bit more limited because the rotational, you know, advantage is not necessarily there. So we'll see how this plays out, but they will be picking up the Shaman camp that's going to be at the top here. Gives quite a bit of push, and they are so aggressive. They are wondering if they can find that advantage. I was just looking at the minimap. Garrosh walked all the way over to the side of Gen.G to see if they were on theirs. They're going to find that they're not. So now see if Dignitas, with that information, will try and make something happen in that top lane, but needless to say, Shrine underway here.
It also shows some of the mentality for Gen.G that they have no interest on split pushing because the Shaman is far more valuable than the Khazra camp in this type of circumstance. Dignitas, though, with a small positional advantage, will in fact pick up 13 skeletal defenders now and look to get that cycle out. Wubby joining the Shaman camp there on the top half of the map.
It's going to get value. Just how much we're going to find out as the lurking arm goes down. Blizzard a little bit off the mark, though. Get the tether right back into the pool, but Iron Skin is going to help Tist walk away from that. Still fairly even on this Shrine, as we can see Gen.G with a firm focus on this, and with that Sonya Tassadar starting to give themselves a lead.
Yeah, Snitch actually just went back and took a tap. Jet Propulsion is going to land there after Sake gets flipped over, but he has a lot of armor. Snitch is going to go pull back with the tether, but Sake is unable to make it out there thanks to the lurking arm. Huge condemn coming through. Pulse Bomb actually drops onto Zelia, and look at that flip away from Kyocha trying to buy the time. Snitch with another tether, but 1 for 1 here between these teams.
Rich is absolutely insane. He walked in there and he would not let up. He's like, Pulse Bomb, I know is not going to be it, and he stayed in there. Tist, however, might not be so lucky. We see Snitch trying to get the takedown, does get the takedown onto Johanna. Needless to say, that Punisher was picked up here by Gen.G, and Rich continuing to harass just about everybody. There's absolutely nothing JPL can do about it.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do about it. The post bomb in. He got a recall opportunity, I believe. Maybe not. Juke, though, onto the jet propulsion, and the Punisher actually leaping over. Rich keeps himself alive. The lurking arm. Snitch unable to get the tether, and Rich does the impossible there. No recall, no problem.
There is nobody in the world that you will see make plays like that or be even willing to make plays like that as Snitch gets the bait over. Rich almost has another pulse bomb. Look for him to make a play that should be charged up now. See if he can go in. So the Punisher now has fallen. No minions there. Well, just a few left. So now Gen.G walk away from that, but that could have gone either way. And this is exciting, to say the least, because you have Gen.G and you have Rich on that tracer willing to try and make plays that I've never seen. There's no world where I'm like, I don't hit recall instantly. But Rich is like, I'm fine. It's cool.
No, we're good. We'll get the call out there. I have no problem with this type of situation. I mean, I agree with you. I thought there was no chance that Rich would be able to get the survive there. But in fact, again, proving why he has such a legendary name here in competitive Heroes of the Storm. That in mind, Dignitas, it's not like they fall too far behind at this point in time. A bit of damage over the mid-fort, I would caution, is going to be a problem later on, especially because Gen.G will feel very comfortable diving that if Dignitas ever feels like that is a moment of comfortability. Flip over number 2. Rich this time, he says it's worth the recall.
Yeah, and you know, this is an opportunity. We saw Oracle go out there by reset on that Tassadar, so he knew there was no real threat. So they stayed in there, and normally we'll see teams, they'll get double wall, and there's Rich getting pulled in, but no follow-up as he's going to blink away. But Gen.G, they found an opportunity elsewhere, did get a little bit in terms of that XP, but Dignitas been doing a great job this whole time. Dreadnought, slight experience lead, but both these teams should hit 10 right around the same time, and that's when we'll get some big fights happen.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that's going to change with that post-10 mark that you bring up is that Rich is not going to be able to kind of be as confident as we saw, mainly because, you know, the Warlord Challenge on the Garrosh having the opportunity to be able to get that time. That being said, we're talking about Rich. He probably will be about as confident here, but it's going to be cool to watch the trade-off there behind JPL there on the Warrior, and Rich again on to his Tracer. 10s are picked up. Welly is the choice here for Team Dignitas, along with the Warden's Cage.
This is aggressive. I mean, Dignitas with the level 10 here. Hopefully they get this quick enough and they can get out. You can see the pings warning as Rich contemplating going in. He's like, you know what, I'll give it up. And right now, that's actually Poik using the vision advantage there, getting some damage over the wall and having those Shaman help. But did he overstay? Is level 10 here? Poik might be in trouble, Dread.
Yeah, but the bunker is down, and it doesn't matter. Jaina is unable to make it through as the Divine Shield already used onto Rich as he pulse bombs onto Zalia. Zalia trying to kind of wait the taunt used there onto Reset, but he is just fine with the Dimensional Warp. And look at this, Gen.G just aggressing onto Dignitas. Vault is there, Jet propulsion to buy a bit of time. And as I said, Gen.G not afraid to dive over this middle fort and pick it up after that great initiation.
Very rarely will I see that was a mistake, but Poik really wanted that well. And sometimes you just kind of play around the vision, have the Shaman put a little damage over, but he full committed to that. Used a couple of abilities, then rotated out and was the last out. And 10 was picked up by Gen.G, and they forced that. They recognized that. You cannot afford, I think, against a team like Gen.G to even have one minor misstep. One extra second is just enough for them to open up a team fight. It could have gone a lot worse. Dignitas, though, all members back as the next Shrine phase already underway.
Yeah, Dignitas showing that macro sense with the Shaman camp on the top half, so there is a timer here as we see the tether and the flip over. Sake in a bad spot. Taunt gonna go down, and that is Uther out of this here. Tish trying to get the retreat. Will have the heals from that Ghost form, but Dignitas, huge advantage over the Shrine. Jet propulsion goes down. Blessed Shield not going to land.
Oh, baby, Kyosha, he's not going to be much longer for this world. That's 2 members down on the side of Gen.G, and you can credit Zalia a lot. There was a lot on the front line, but what Rich does and loves to do is flank that back line, get that pulse bomb, but Zalia landed a picture-perfect massive shove and sent Rich flying. Zwubby, he's going to go in, get a charge. He's going to be fine for the moment.
And they see the response on the top half of the map. Johanna ends up making that transition to rid of the Shaman camp. Gen.G will have Kyoto be able to join back here with the squad, but it should be enough skeletal defenders at this point in time to the name of Dignitas that they have their first Punisher here of the game. Siege capabilities and threat with their composition is colossal, specifically talking about that Warden's Cage opportunity there, the follow-up with the combo and the lurking arm, things of the like here. So Gen.G does have some tough questions coming up.
Right now for Dignitas starting to find themselves a lead. They're going to see if they can potentially find something over this wall. Remember, Maev can get that pull back in. They're trying to scout it out. Wall goes down, and Gen.G respects all of that as they get back. Rich baits the Punisher over. Punisher continuing to move forward, as is the rest of Dignitas. Dignitas being extremely aggressive here, Dreadnought.
Yeah, sticking very close to the Punisher, making sure never to kind of lose some of that aggro. Johanna, though, giving up onto the bottom four, going to show towards mid. Actually, instead, did not show towards mid. Instead, we only have Sonya displaying herself in the middle lane. Dignitas realized sieging up to the keep probably going to be a little bit too risky here. And now make the transition towards the mid lane, be able to pick up a 4 for themselves, still abusing that 13 talent here, which you see the lockdown there on to reset, forcing the use there out of the Archon. Warden's Cage actually dropping after it into the fray. Bit of miscommunication on the side of Dignitas.
Yeah, that was a tough spot there, but needless to say, this is what Dignitas loves to do. They love to cycle up and rotate, take double wall. This is before the changes to the XP. These walls, these fort walls are actually worth a significant amount. They're equal to one entire fort, so they recognize that, stretch their lead a little bit. They did use a big heroic there with Warden's Cage, still 75 seconds before that's available, but they did find themselves an advantage. They also find themselves a 1-level lead.
Single fort down on both sides of the battlefield. And Gen.G was willing to kind of, you know, when we remember that middle fight skirmish where we talked about Poik showing too much vision, right? And the control on the side of Gen.G, the last initiation, they did not have all their heroics available for that skirmish because of that trade. And I feel like we're yet to truly see Dignitas' composition with all the heroics online in full power versus that of Gen.G. But the invade here from Dignitas, now in time.
Milliseconds away, I'd say, there on the side of Dignitas from getting in there. Rich was showing at that bottom, clearing up that bottom wave, so they knew they had the numbers advantage, the damage advantage. But nice job by Reset to get the dismount, put that Psystorm in by enough time to keep Dignitas at bay. A toss out Tis there, but now Dignitas, I don't think they can get to 16 before the next Shrine phase. They might be approaching it, and that might be an opportunity for them to take advantage of that and see if they can continue to maybe snowball the third Punisher in this game. But right now, Gen.G is starting to get some experience back by way of some structures here in the bot lane.
It is just amazing to consider what we saw over the first couple of minutes of the last game on Dragonshire and how much Dignitas has changed the tune of this song in game number 2. Very much have been not necessarily dominating, but definitely within control of a lot of the rotations and things like on the side of Gen.G, living possibly up to the name as they earn themselves at Mid-Season Brawl 2017 of the Korean Killers, looking to be able to stop Gen.G from making history once more.
Wubby, one of the best in the world, knows his limits, just poking and prodding there, trying to find an opportunity as several members of Gen.G are down here. Maev, however, is at the top. You can see Garrosh on the minimap just continuing to scout, making sure there's not much else going, and Snitch, he knows how quickly things can blow up, and he is not willing to do that as the minions will start to push forward here. Did not go that AoE talent at 13 with the bullet spray, instead went Ricochet, and knows that he doesn't have the wave clear to defend against a push like this. And Gen.G, again, knowing that they need 16 Dreadnought, they're trying to get it through these structures, see if Dignitas starts to rotate up and look for this fight, but Blaze nowhere near.
That was a really clever rotation from Gen.G. Silence actually drops onto Rich, just mainly because they did not commit to that top half of the map in that fort until they saw the camp picked up on the bottom half of the map, which will be sieging. Blaze looking to join in. Rich actually has to burn at least one blink there. Tis maybe out too far. Nice use of the Iron Skin. Stops the massive shove. Isolation from Zalia with the water elemental down. Takes a bit of damage, and top 4 goes to Dignitas. 16 will be here over this next Shrine, but surely Dig at least picks up 15, 20 skeletal defenders for themselves before that time hits.
This is a very good opportunity for them. Remember, Dreadnought, on that last Punisher, yes, it was bot lane, but what Dignitas does is that cycle out to another lane, prep the next lane, open up an opportunity. They took out that wall on that mid fort, so this next Punisher will be enabled, and this is a major potential flank coming in here as they are getting near 16. Show Kyocha, Sake passes on by. Camp's going to be picked up. This will buy some time to defend against minions. You can see Dignitas on the minimap, Dreadout. They're already looking to try and double up. They're going to look towards that Shaman camp at the top right.
And I want to pose a bit of a question here, as we know the Shrine spawning. During the time that Dignitas had 16 tier advantage, how much sieging damage did we see Gen.G actually get done? The top 4 fell from full HP down to 25%. Now we see on the bottom half of the map, they're looking to siege out. Even if Dignitas picks up this Punisher, I would willing to argue that Gen.G gained more structure damage than Dignitas ever will, unless they can get an all-in initiation again with the Warden's Cage combo. And with this Punisher, they're going to need it. Mid-fort with no front wall, likely I mean, very commonly going to be victim here. It's just, can Dignitas get anything past that? Otherwise, Gen.G traded up massively here.
We're going to see it as the fort already in focus. The camp's cleared up here in the mid lane. Lurking Arm goes down. JPL not able to find a target there as the fort has fallen. Still 80% left on this Punisher. And now this is where you try and look to make the plays happen. However, Jaina slow to rotate down, trying to make room for that Shaman camp up at the top, allowing Gen.G to get some free damage here in the mid lane trade.
Nobody getting too aggressive. Snitch still yet to kind of get the cooldown up for his gap closer there, as we do see the pressure on the top half still kind of mounting against Gen.G. Sonya is the man to make the transition, or I guess more the woman to make that transition for Gen.G. They pick up a Shaman for themselves. Dignitas did not get as much out of that Punisher as maybe they would have liked.
Not even getting the full keep wall. And that goes back to the question you posed right before that of, did Gen.G conceivably get more out of it? And at the end of it all, you could say yes now. Before it was a question, now it's like, well, yeah, pretty much. And now you can see Gen.G, as soon as we see Gen.G show at the top, which they're debating on whether to do, they're gonna full push onto that. We're gonna look for Dignitas to finish off this mid lane and maybe threaten keep and force it back, but Gen.G might not back, Dread. They might just come on down and join the party. It looks like we do have a couple members now backing.
Look at Rich, he's not gonna let them get any kind of mounting whatsoever here. Plays it a little bit slower, knowing Kyocha is still into the top lane. Blind comes out from Tis, able to get a dismount onto 2. JPL very split from the rest of the team. Oracle reveals exactly that. Rich getting aggressive as Kyocha now is able to join in with the fight. Shaman Camp pressuring out for Gen.G, getting that splish pressure on both halves of the map. But when it's all said and done, it's just going to be a back out here for Dig.
For Dignitas, they will have the race towards 20, at least in their favor for now. There is no fort really for Gen.G to take down. So if they want to get back in the game, getting through structures not necessarily there. There's a little bit of experience mid that they're going to miss out on, but nothing too condemning just yet. But Dignitas still a little bit ahead, starting to get control of this. And the way this map looks, Dreadnought, it's still basically anybody's game, but it does feel that Dignitas over the last couple of Punishers seems to be control of the pace. That could change at any moment.
And I can't help but feel like it kind of did. Even though it hasn't completely looked at in that manner, I mean, Gen.G, if anybody wants to know why they are as dominant as they are, they were down half a level, 3/4 of a level pre-16, and purely off of rotations alone, they now sit at nearly dead even in experience, though Dignitas was the one who should be choosing the fights, you know, as we typically say in these type of circumstances. And now it is even footing here for the two teams. Even without that, not only is Gen.G even footing, they're winning on the macro front. They are just dominating and painting the map blue, and essentially going to ask Dignitas here, do you want to take this initiation? Because if not, we're going to start looking to actually win this race.
Camp picked up here by Kyocha. They have taken the top, the bottom left camp, the bottom camp. They are taking everything that they can right now. Punisher will be in that top lane, which I believe a little bit of structure damage was done by that Shaman camp, but at this point, one big team fight can just blow this game wide open. JPL, see how aggressive he wants to be. Snitch, seeing if he can find that initiation, but they are so close to level 20.
Kyocha doing his best to be able to secure that for Gen.G.
They're going down. They're looking for him.
Yeah, they find Poik. Pulse Bomb gonna drop. Healing is there from Zalia as he got the Massive Shove to buy the time, but now we just saw Massive Shove, not the biggest cooldown in the world, but Water Elemental is very, you know, it is a high impact spell that we're gonna see not on cooldown, excuse me, over this next Shrine phase on the top half. 20 will be here for Gen.G after about one wave, as you see them securing that here in the middle lane. And it's amazing to think that, again, just off of rotations, Gen.G has recovered this game back to 20-20, and now it's, can Dignitas win another skirmish in this top shrine?
I like the fact that Dignitas is being cautious with their approach. They're scouting out. Blaze is already pulled off of that. Tis starting to move back, start to regain position. This is going to be the fight that could potentially decide the game, as we see Snitch coming in. If he can find that initiation, JPL on the backside. Oracle has removed them. Rich dodges the groundbreaker. Wubby starting to poke as well. See if Dignitas can find an opportunity, or whether Gen.G is going to turn this around in their favor.
But Sonya getting that solo clear. As long as Gen.G can zone off, they are winning the shrine. 15 and counting there, very quickly upward. The Snitch not going to pull the trigger on that one. Flip away, making Tis Condemn not as appealing. Archon already popped here. Gen.G, they want this fight. Massive Shove's going to buy a bit of time. Sonya's still on the shrine. Blessed Shield is going to go down. Snitch and friends trying to get into the bunker. They'll hold on, but Tis falling solo. Divine Shield and Indestructible is stacked. That is worst case scenario here for the fight. but the skeletal defenders, J-How, leads to this Punisher.
Yeah, they were completely zoned out. Now Dignitas, they're willing to trade this. They're going to force out a back from Gen.G. They're going to threaten this. This mid keep already has taken some damage. So when they move on to this, that will force either Gen.G to back, which will give Dignitas an opportunity to go and defend against that Punisher unless they just make a desperation push here. We're going to see if they can delay the dismount. That's all Rich has to do, is just delay the dismount and delay the backing on this.
They want the combo. It's dodge. Rich over the wall, able to get the dodge. Tether is used there. JPL, though, in a very bad spot. Massive shove is going to push Rich away as Sonya and Tassadar sieging on the top half of the map. That keep is going to lie victim to Gen.G in a matter of seconds. Maiev, only one to be able to make it back here with the Warden's Cage. Gen.G is just looking to buy time.
This is not a good spot. Poik, there's going to be the get stuffed, and that's going to be Poik being the first takedown. May not be the last. This Snitch under assault, just barely able to make it away. The Punisher still sitting at about 70% health. Wubby is in so much trouble there. As you can see, Bless Shield even used, and now Gen.G, what looked like just a normal defense, might be looking to get aggressive to try and end this game. Snitch taking a lot of damage. Kyocha trying to finish the job.
Oh, but look at JPL with the peel there. Groundbreaker into the top. Kyocha being threatened, but it's not enough. As you see, the core shielding has now been removed. Dignitas here with only 3 members trying to hold on, but it doesn't look like they can, as Gen.G just zoning up once more. They're getting the siege downward. Punisher is baited away, 50 and counting, J-How.
And now this should be it. Gen.G is starting to look to end the game. Game number 2 going over to Gen.G. Dignitas tried to make the desperation play, tried to get a little bit sneaky, unable to do so. That's going to be Gen.G going up 2-0 in this best of 5.
I cannot praise those rotations from Gen.G harder. My goodness, the fact that they are in that position where generally you look at that and you go, Dignitas is able to get the force, looking for split pressure on different parts of the map, and Gen.G goes, you can have the Punisher, we don't care. We are actually gaining more out of the situation than you, able to make that an even fight in the 20 into 20, and then just calculated control from that point on. Zova off, Sonya's got the solo clear, and then if you try to make a major play, it doesn't matter. We have enough damage between the Archon, between the Tassadar, and that is going to be GG. And it's almost a ballet whenever you watch them play. It is beautiful to see what they can make happen on almost any battleground.
It's crazy to think that against probably any other team, that works for Dignitas, who had control of that game. And that was just a wild ending to just part of this series. But we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the analysis, we'll have more for you. We'll be right back with more Mid-Season Brawl.